I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everybody. Beautiful Sunday morning here in Tennessee, the 14th day of March 2021. We're going to talk a little bit today about Harry Truman in our American History Month. Also going to do a little reading from the Bible. We're going to start right from the basics. First, let's do our opening prayer here. It is thou who giveth the bright sun together with the ice. It is thou who createst the rivers and the salmon in the river. That the nut tree shall be flowering, O Christ, it is a rare craft. Through thy skill too comes the kernel, thou fair ear of our wheat. Through the children of Eve ill deserve the bird flocks and the salmon. It was the immortal one on the cross who made both the salmon and the birds. It is he who makes the flower of the sloe grow through the bark of the blackthorn and the nut flower on the trees. Besides this, what miracle is greater? Amen. Amen. How is everybody today on this beautiful Sunday morning here in the world? Depending, I guess it depends on where you are. It's still morning here. This daylight savings time's kind of threw me out a little bit here. It should only really be 10 o'clock, but I slept in today for some reason. Of course, we went to the zoo yesterday in Chattanooga, so it kind of wore us out. We walked all around. Oh, I'll tell you what. It's tough to find a parking spot down there. I had to park at the parking meter, and then they only give you 2 hours, so I had to run out. Well, actually, we all went out and we had some lunch, and I fed the meter again. And then we came back. We toured one building, and then we came back, ate lunch, and then we toured another building. But it's hard to find a parking spot. It's really stressful. You know, all the lots were full. We had to use the meters, and then I was worried about the meter maid coming and giving us a ticket, but we were fine. Everything all worked out. The Lord was on our side. Had a good trip. Alrighty, today's reading is called Dark Nights. You have tested my heart. You have visited me in the night. You have tried me and have found nothing. I have purposed that my mouth shall not transgress. La noche oscura del alma, the dark night of the soul. That's the name of the poem written by St. John of the Cross, a 16th century Spanish poet. While he was in prison for trying to reform his monastic order. The dark night represents the difficulties and trials we experience on the road to heaven. Dark night also pictures the isolation we feel during times of spiritual test. We sometimes lie in bed at night surrounded by darkness, longing for sleep, but consumed with our thoughts and questions. The psalmist, especially David, were candidly honest about their literal and spiritual dark nights. David made good use of his sleepless nights, crying out to God for relief and answers. And he relied on the natural order of things to remind him that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. If you are in the midst of your own dark night, use the time wisely. If there are tears, let them water the words you pour out to God, remembering that joy comes in the morning. Faith is a plant that can grow in the shade, a grace that can find a way to heaven in a dark night. William Gurnall said that. Thank you, William. All right. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Harry Truman. He was born in 1884 and died in 1972. He was the 33rd president. He assumed office after following the death of Franklin Roosevelt. He was a president from 1945 to 1953. He made the decision to use the atomic bomb against Japan, helped rebuild in post-war Europe, worked to contain communism, and led the United States into the Korean War. He was a Missouri native. He later assisted in running his family farm after high school and served in World War I. He began his political career in 1922 as a county judge in Missouri and was elected to the U.S. Senate in 1934. 3 months after becoming vice president in 1945, the plain-spoken Truman ascended to the presidency. In 1948, he was reelected in an upset over Republican Thomas Dewey. After leaving office, Truman spent his remaining 2 decades in Independence, Missouri, where he established his presidential library. Well, he was a pretty neat guy, wasn't he? Yeah, I'm going to keep that a little short today on the history. We know a little bit about Harry Truman now. Let's do a little Bible reading here today. We're going to start right in the beginning. A lot of people don't start in the beginning. But let's do a little beginning reading here. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved unto the face of the waters. And God said, Let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. He created day and night. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear, as it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gatherings together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed in itself upon the earth, and it was so. See, when he created the earth, he created seeds, and he grew fruits and grass. And so the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielded fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind, and God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and years. And let them be the lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, and it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and a lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give it light upon earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the 4th day. And God said, Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the 5th day. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creatures after his kind, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have domination over the flesh of the sea, over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he him. And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have domination over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl in the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which the fruit of the tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. That was from Genesis 1. Next time we'll continue on. And there you have it. We talked a little bit about Harry Truman. He's the one that, set in motion the atomic bomb against the Japanese. Now, a lot of people have problems with, us bombing Japan at the time, but, a lot of people were not out there on the front fighting. I mean, these Japanese people were ruthless. These Japanese warriors, they would die. They didn't care. They didn't care for their lives at all. They would just die. We had to, because it would have kept going on and on and on, and, millions of people would have died. So, he agreed to drop that to end it, which it did. Well, they dropped two of them, actually, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And after the second one, then Japan agreed to surrender. Those bombs were very devastating. Imagine they wiped out whole cities. Woo! That's a powerful blast. So, Mr. Truman, he had his place in the United States history. He was famous for that. He took over after the death of Franklin Roosevelt. And it was his decision. He was the final decision to use the atomic bomb. And he also helped build, Europe back up and everything. So he was actually a good man. He did his part in society, and that's why he is in our History Month. Mr. Truman, we salute you. All right, now we're going to have our closing prayer. Oh, Lord, reassure me with your quickening spirit. Without you, I can do nothing. Mortify in me all worldliness, pride, selfishness, and resistance to God, and fill me with love, peace, and all the fruits of the Spirit. You are the same yesterday, today, and forever. And therefore, waiting on thee, Lord, I trust that I shall at length renew my strength. Amen. Amen, everybody. Kind of keep it short and sweet today. We talked a little bit about the beginning of time. Not everybody agrees that the way things happen. But, if we was all the same, the world would be a boring place, wouldn't it? Everybody has their opinions. And there's so much turmoil like that going on. Even back when I started this American History Month, Even back, when we first formed this country, people would bicker amongst each other. Well, I want to do it this way, and I want to do it that way, and I think it should be done this way, and I think it should be done that way. But I don't think there's ever been a time in history when people disrespected a president as much as they have Donald Trump. His agenda was genuine. He wanted to help the American people. But it just seems like the Democrats was always fighting against him. They was trying to impeach him, and they was always trying to do this. But now that Joe Biden's in office, at least Donald Trump kept a lot of his promises that he was going to make. Where Joe Biden, he's going back, he's opening these borders up. That's a national security issue right there. They're not screening these people like they should, and they're just letting them out, We're going to start seeing the byproducts of this pretty soon. Wake up, people. I see gas has already gone up 50, 60 cents a gallon. But, I see on Facebook and just people are defending them saying, well, that's just because, they're lifting, starting to lift a ban like that. More people are just, no, that's not that. It was before the pandemic, gas was below $2 a gallon, so don't give me that. You're just trying to defend the man that he's just running our country right into the ground. And I don't think it's him that's holding the reins. I think he's just a little puppet. And people are behind him, calling the shots. So, wake up, America. Open up your eyes and see what's going on here. Well, this is Mark, the Controversial Christian, signing off for this beautiful Sunday, saying we love you, and we hope you have a blessed day.